and welcome to the Now What Next Steps podcast here at Malibu Pacific Church. Hey, this is a supplemental podcast that actually, if you haven't listened to the sermon from this past week, go back and listen to that sermon so that this podcast actually makes some sense, all right? So this week we have our special guest, usually, as always, actually.
I'm special.
There we go.
That much is true. I don't know if I'm a guest, but I'm special.
He's special,
Yeah.
everybody. It's Andy.
So are you. You're special as well.
Oh, the listener or myself?
All of everybody.
Everybody. There we
special.
go. Everybody.
We're special people.
There we go. Hey, so this is Vacation Mode, session number 2 in our new series called Vacation Mode. And this week we talked about joy, right?
Yes, that's right.
So much fun. Tell them if there's like one thing that people could walk away with, what would it be and why?
Well, joy is a commandment. And in John 15, where Jesus said after the story of the vine and the branches and so forth, now I will give you that my joy may be in you and my joy may be complete. So God wants us to experience joy. And actually, God is a joyful God. Talked about Dallas Willard a little bit, who said to understand God, you need to understand that God is the most joyful being in the universe. That's Dallas Willard. So the very character of who God is a joyful God. I'm wondering if that's new information to a lot of people, because when you think of church, you think of God, think of an old man, gray beard, and the judge, and who's unhappy with everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. I think people keep forgetting about the joy that's supposed to happen with God.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. I think that it's mostly just doom and gloom that people remember. I don't know, they think of the wrath of God, they think of an angry God, but it's never like joy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Guy by the name of John Ortberg also said, read several of his books, great discipleship person. Read his stuff, just great books that he's read on or written on discipleship. But he said, to truly begin to experience full change, we need to experience joy.
Yeah.
And I had to think about that. But that is true. Whenever we learn something or we want to learn something, it's because we're enjoying it.
Oh.
And I don't know if he said that part, but that's for me. I don't know about you.
It
When
totally is.
I'm learning, if I'm enjoying it, I want to learn more about it.
Absolutely.
So that's also true for our spiritual walk or our discipleship, our growth in Jesus. If we're enjoying it, we will keep learning and keep growing.
Totally. So what's something that you're learning in right now, something you're finding joy, besides golf?
Yeah. Well, I didn't say this on Sunday, and I kind of ran out of time a little bit. It was actually 2 sermons. In the middle of the sermon, I was thinking, I should have divided this up, but there's a lot of information there. But we talked about, enjoying experience with God and connecting with God, enjoying other people. They bring joy to us. And then I didn't have any time for ourselves. And so maybe we can talk about that. But things that I have enjoyed or brought joy to me is working in the yard. I've always loved digging and planting something. I redid my yard in Santa Rosa a couple of times. My wife got very upset with me because it's like, what are you doing? I'm just tearing it out. I don't know. I want to do something new and bring in a bunch of plows and tractors and shovels and just started digging. But there's something about just being in the dirt,
with your hands,
planting something, doing something with your hands that you're not thinking or sitting behind a desk. That's for me. Just truly enjoying that. You said golf. I'm not a golfer. I'm horrible. I'm terrible, but I'm enjoying learning it.
That's fun.
So it's whatever you're learning and just kind of brings life.
Yeah.
I did play one time golf with a bunch of guys, and I was frustrated the whole day. And one guy finally said, golf is meant to be enjoyed.
Oh.
And he's not a Christian.
Yeah.
Play with a bunch of guys at Calabasas Country Club, and they're not Christians, and they're like, you're supposed to enjoy this. And I was like, I don't know.
Maybe next time.
So I've literally thought about it. Now and then when I start getting a little frustrated, not hitting the ball well, wait a second, this is actually meant to be enjoyed. And I just start the conversations, be with people. It's and being outside, just walking with your clubs.
Yeah.
I've been intentional, even though I'm not playing well. I'm not letting how well I'm playing on whether or not it's giving me joy.
Gotcha.
So, take care of things. I think going out and eating a good meal with my wife. I enjoy that.
Absolutely. Do you like cooking?
I enjoy cooking. I really do.
Nice.
I enjoy my Kamado Joe, which is like a green egg.
Yes.
So I love sitting there and watching my ribs cook for 3 hours, and I can just relax. I can't hurry it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. So whatever it is for you, I think one of the most spiritual things you could do is find something you enjoy and do it.
Unless it's drugs.
You're in youth ministry, unless it's drugs. Yeah,
unless
it's drugs. But what was the old youth guy? Yakovec. What was it?
Mike Yaconelli.
Yaconelli.
Yeah.
Mike Yaconelli.
Yeah.
Youth Specialties.
Yep.
I was in that conference in San Diego 30 years ago.
Amazing.
You might have been, I don't know if you were there yet, but.
They still do it down there. So, yeah.
So I went to the Youth Specialties, and he got up and he said, you know, a lot of you youth pastors are tired.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most spiritual thing you can do right now is go get a bottle of wine and go back to the hotel room with your wife.
Yeah.
And the whole place was like, what?
No, we paid all this money to do this whole... It's like, no, you actually need some rest. Go find some joy.
30 years later, I still remember that. He's making a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing more than you're able to be with. Right now, you just need to be with God and be with your spouse.
Totally.
And not be in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of, I think he said it to kind of shake you up, kind of like Campola says things just to get you perturbed. But he's making a good point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Take care of yourself first.
Absolutely. That's good. Yeah, it just reminds me of even my kids and the things that they like and enjoy and they want to get better at it, like soccer or softball. Penelope's really into theme parks, just like her dad, just like me. But she's learning how to, like, the rides are engineered. And so she's watching the YouTube videos on how these giant rides were created and what it really took to get them off the ground, 5-6 years in the making.
I love that.
She's just soaking it all in. So when we went to Disneyland a month ago, she was pointing out all these different things that I had no idea about. Yeah. And then she was like, yeah, they made this with this people, and then they brought this in, and this was something, and there's this hidden thing over here, and I'm like, whoa! So thanks, YouTube, and she just really enjoys it.
Sounds like a future engineer, too.
I know. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be good. I can retire early. All right. So, hey, we got a couple questions this week, which is real fun. So we got 2 questions. The first one is this. When you and Andy do the podcast this week, I would be interested in further discussion of the issue of friendships/relationships. Andy mentioned Ortberg, the comment from Ortberg, that relationships should be easy. I'm not sure how to take that. I think relationships usually take work. I have a number of friendships that require intentionality to maintain them, but the connections/relationships that happen are maintained because of the intentional effort, are easy, comfortable, enriching. Just thinking about that. So
great question.
Yeah.
Really great question. Thank you. It got really quiet when I said that.
It did. Yeah,
I was expecting an amen or something, and it was like
man, frozen chosen.
I don't. It either didn't make sense, or it landed badly, or I said it wrong, or I don't know what. So, I was expecting an amen because I would hope that, but yeah, John said that to me when I was really struggling with somebody, and every interaction was, I had to work at it. And he was giving me permission to even say, well, maybe that person shouldn't be on staff or working with you or underneath you. And it doesn't mean, to answer your question there, great question, whoever said that we don't fight for relationships and fight for health. But I was saying it in the reference of relationships and people you're spending time with. That there are some people that are either sucking the blood out of you or filling you up. And that was the point of the bubbles. Yeah. There's some people at the end of a coffee or time with them, you feel like, shoot me, I feel tired. Have you ever felt that way with some people?
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's certain things on my calendar I'm like kind of dreading to even go and have that coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You're like, oh, I have to go spend time with this person. I'm going to be, you're not looking forward to it. Yeah, so there are those. I think it's just be aware of what kind of relationships are life-giving and which ones you are needing to work at, but you can't be in every relationship, to answer your question. Every relationship cannot be I have to fight for this relationship.
Totally.
That you and I need, I was saying just pick one day, that it's a group of people that are life-giving to you, so that the next 6 days you can be struggling, fighting, warring, trying to make it work. But I was saying that in reference of filling our tanks back up.
Gotcha.
And if you're spending a day or some time with a group of people that are draining you, I'm only asking the question, so what relationships do you have that are actually life-giving, filling your tank up?
Absolutely.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, when you said that, it just makes sense. That's something that Shannon and I have, like, one of our principles, like, that we've grown up with is it's not to just, like, cut people out of your life, but we like to have healthy boundaries. Yeah. That's the thing, is that if we have somebody who's constant in need and constant, I don't know, you could say, fill in the blank. Right. It's just a draining person. We tend to have our boundaries up, and we try to have really healthy boundaries with them because we've had a couple people in our life that try to take advantage in that early on, I think, in our lives too. Yeah. So we've been able to push back and be like, no, thank you, redirect. We've been called out, at a different church too, and even at this church of like, so why aren't you friends with everybody? Why aren't you hanging out with us? It's like, because we just needed to separate this time, like, just like a really healthy conversation, and the person understood. But it did make for awkward conversation, but at the same time, I think it all helped all of the parties involved. Yeah. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I can be friendly with everybody, but I can't be friends with everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, hopefully that clarified that a little bit, because maybe I didn't give it enough context when I said it, but it was in reference to taking a day, with the people that you enjoy, they enjoy you, and it's just easy.
Totally.
Have you been to dinner with a group of people, or even just another couple, and it's just easy? It's easy.
Yeah, time flies.
That's what I meant.
Absolutely.
Time just flies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can disagree on things and still be friends. You can have good conversation, like it's just easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really funny after the service, because I made fun of that, you're saying of like, oh, made fun of Andy kind of a deal. Somebody's like, wait, so you don't like Andy? I'm like, no, I really like it. That's why I'm jabbing. Like, that's what's so funny. Like, we won't see you next week if Andy, annoys you, right? Take a
that
day
was
off.
Hilarious.
I thought it was really funny, but another person took it serious. They're like, whoa, is there something going on? I'm like, no, that's why we can joke about it. Okay. So anyways,
I thought it was fun.
I just got to be careful.
That was very clever. No, don't. Let's be a church that's fun. Let's be a church that is able to laugh at ourselves. Let's not take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Life is already hard enough for the other 6 days. We're coming to church. It should be easy.
I totally
You know what?
agree.
Maybe we should write a book.
Whoa.
Church should be easy.
Okay, new podcast coming out next week.
Yeah, church should be easy.
Church should be easy.
I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I've been really looking forward to it every Sunday, to be honest.
I know.
It's been real fun.
The one Sunday, just to let everybody know, that we put the church online, and so we're not doing, it was Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So we're not meeting in person. We're going to be online 100%.
Yeah.
Kelly, my wife, who runs the children's ministry, was telling the kids, okay, kids, we're not coming to church next week. It's going to be online. Watch it, the service at home with your family.
Yeah.
And all the kids were like, why?
Why?
Yeah, they were all away. He says, well, you get to stay home. You don't have to come to church. And they're like, why?
But we like it.
We like it
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
She had a hard time explaining to the kids why we weren't having church next week. And the kids, she had a revolt. That's a win, everybody.
Huge win.
The kids, this is my favorite day of the week. I enjoy coming here. I love coming here.
That's a great question I think we can all ask ourselves, too. Are we creating a church that ultimately we want to attend and we like,
Yeah.
Like, everybody can come here and be like, whatever reason you do come here, for worship, for the community. There's so many different reasons. But is it a church that you feel like you just have to go to, or you get to go to?
I get to, and it's
exactly,
and it's easy. Like hanging out at dinner with your best friends is just easy. I'm really thinking out loud right now. That's the culture we want to build here. That when people show up, it's just easy for them. Yeah, enjoyable. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. It was in that context of who you're spending your time with, because your friends will determine the direction and the keyword quality of your life. And I would define quality also that I'm enjoying life with them.
Totally.
And so, yes, there are times that I've had to work. Callie and I have had to work in our relationship. There's times that have been tough. There's some relationships and families that we've had to fight for them.
Yep.
There are those times, but I was talking about how to fill our tanks back up.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry I wasn't completely clear on that, but it was in reference to that day, or who are your people that's easy. Yeah.
So we got another question.
Yeah.
Enjoyed sermon number 2 of your vacation series. So there we go.
Right.
Andy raised some excellent thought-provoking questions. He did? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. See, jabs. It's all good. Questions about joy and the people that we include in our lives. As Christians, we are called to reach out and love others, even those that are difficult to love. I would be interested in hearing any thoughts/guidance that Andy has, not me, come on, that Andy has regarding how we should strike the balance between loving others and avoiding toxicity.
Great question.
Yeah,
great question. And a great person to also answer that question is Townsend in the book People Fuel. I think I put it up on the board.
At the very end.
At the very end. Yeah, I love what he does in that book. I encourage you to buy it and read through it, because Townsend differentiates 6 different levels of relationships, and I think I mentioned the last one, which is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But he mentions the easy, the fun, the people who are life-giving. Who are those in your life? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. It's usually a smaller group. And think of concentric circles.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other people that are more acquaintances. There's other people that I know. And then there's other people that are, I recognize at the grocery store. I can say hi at the restaurant or the waiter or whatever.
Yeah.
And then level 6 are people who are toxic.
Mm.
So that's helped me figure out who is my inner circle, who are the ones that are good friends, and eventually someday we're gaining a relationship to the point that they may end up in my inner circle.
Oh.
Because you want to find, don't miss this is important, you want to find friends and have friends who are taking care of themselves.
Yes.
Because if they're taking care of themselves, they care enough about themselves and their health, they then will care enough to help take care of you.
Yeah.
But if people don't care for themselves,
that's huge, yeah.
They probably won't care enough to take care of you.
Gotcha.
And they're probably takers. Yeah.
Ooh.
So there's that piece. The other book, I didn't mention it, but it's the Boundaries book, and that's been a life-giving, saving book that's been probably published 30 years ago by Cloud and Townsend as well. It's called Boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's learning to set up different boundaries with different people.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So help me out with the question one more time. Is it are there people who...
how do you strike the balance between loving others and avoiding toxicity as a Christian?
Yeah.
Like going and loving, because we're called to love everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're called to love everybody. We're not called to let everybody abuse us.
There we go.
Yeah. And love, healthy love, has boundaries. And Jesus, the best loving way, I would say, in John chapter 1, verse 9, Jesus came in the fullness of truth and grace.
Yeah.
Not 50-50, but 100% truthful.
Yeah.
And 100% full of grace.
Yes.
And so that we can love each other, but we can have full of truth and full of grace. And so anyway, I just think it's important for us to always keep that balance.
Absolutely.
In our relationships.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what you think as far as keeping boundaries.
They just wanted your opinion.
Oh, okay.
So I'll keep it quiet. No. I think it's the boundaries. That's the thing we're just coming back to. That love is so many different things. That there's tough love, there's easy love. There's, at least in my categories, that I've just found that even tough love or the healthy boundaries has made for better relationships with certain people in my life too.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge game changer for me. There's going to be toxic people always, and you can't, if you're dating them, you can't just keep breaking up with different people and keep going back to the toxic people.
Yeah.
But as Christians, you love people where they're at. And I'm going to quote you because I heard it from you first, was don't shit on people.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And
That's-
so
yeah.
we can define toxic people in certain ways, whether it's, a political stance or a food stance, or you can name just a bunch of different things. Be like, that side,
Yeah.
this. But constantly I'm just reminded that Jesus did love everybody, but it was different types of love, and that's okay. So.
Yeah, and that's going back to the book. Also, People Feel with the 6 different levels of relationships by Townsend, that I have different levels of boundaries with each one, yet I am going to love you, but that doesn't mean I'm allowing you to abuse me.
Exactly.
And their point of toxic people, there's enough YouTube, narcissism, whatever. There's so much stuff out there. You do not need to put up with any of that. That one is a geographical boundary. I wouldn't even put myself in a room with that kind of a person.
Totally.
But I am more open to those who I have developed a relationship and trust.
Yes.
And I'm a little less and have some clear boundaries at level 2, a little more boundaries 3, but I'm still loving. A couple things about love, though, it's important to note. And what is truly love say is, I can say this, what can I do to help? A loving person, love is to say, I submit to you, submit to one another.
Yeah.
What can I do to help?
Yeah.
And but I can still draw boundaries on what it is that's being asked of me.
Totally.
Because if I'm healthy and I have my own boundaries, I know what to say yes to and I know what to say no to. And actually, the health of a person is actually how well you say no to some things that aren't healthy.
Totally.
Let me just throw another thing out. Also, love, and we're drawn to environments of love, so we're working really hard at Malibu Pacific Church to create environments, a loving environment. Great. Well, what does that mean? Acceptance paves the way to influence. So the more accepted I feel, the more influenced I will be from you.
Totally.
So we accept one another. I accept you, but I don't, again, I keep going back to that. It doesn't mean that I need to allow you to abuse me in any way.
Totally.
So my love your neighbor is important. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
So I have clear boundaries with me.
Yes.
I know what my yes is. I know what my no is.
Yes.
And I know what I've said yes to, what my commitments are, and boundaries of what I'm saying yes and no to.
Totally.
So people who don't have clear boundaries for themselves abuse their own boundaries and push their boundaries on somebody else.
Yep.
That's abuse.
Absolutely. And then that person tends to have influence in your life because you allow it. So that was where I was going to go down with that, is that I don't let toxic people influence my life. Like that's just a boundary I have. I can sense that and have that gut, or have had that, I don't know. You just have to be careful of what influences you.
Yeah.
Whether that's in relationships or friendships or toxic people. So.
Well, and I've had people say, well, the Lord told me to tell you.
There we go.
If you ever go to a church and the pastor says, the Lord told me to tell you, slowly gather the children, quietly get in the car and drive away and never go back, because that's a cult. Oh, you don't want to go there.
Maybe take a couple donuts.
Take a couple donuts.
Go to a different church. Yeah.
But I've also had people say, well, the Lord told me, they're starting to tell me. And my counselor, Denise Hirschlein, has been very helpful with me on that one. A good response that we could have with those kinds of people, and very religious people who feel like they need to tell everybody what to do.
Totally.
It's to simply say, and this is a good guardrail, is say, thanks so much. I'll pray about that.
Oh, that's good.
And it just diffuses the situation rather than getting into an argument with a toxic person.
Totally.
Because a toxic person does not lose.
Oh.
And the toxic person, they gaslight relationships and people, and they will say things that are the direct opposite of truth.
Yes.
To keep the healthy person off balance.
Yep.
and you start questioning yourself, is that true? Is that how I am? Is that what they're saying? And it's the direct opposite of truth. And they're gaslighting the situation, which is a very manipulative, controlling statement.
Yes.
So the most loving thing, love your neighbor as yourself. The most loving thing you can do, loving yourself, is having clear boundaries for yourself, which is to set up boundaries with that kind of a person.
Totally. So healthy boundaries. And check out that book from Townsend as well, and Cloud.
And also Safe People. I put it up there. Just want to encourage everybody to get. It's one of the original, I think, first ones. 20 characteristics of unsafe people and 20 characteristics of safe people. If anything, just write those 20 out on a piece of paper. And when you're choosing a friend and getting to know somebody, use that as your reference guide and go, is this person a safe person or a not safe person? But the friends you have will determine the direction and the quality of your life. The friends you pick, when you go on a vacation, you're doing life in community, it is your joy is completely determined by the people you're hanging out with.
Yep. I totally agree on that one. I love that you even made fun of yourself a little bit on that one too. You're like, wait, do I have 3 or 4 of these characteristics that are
I do,
not good? And you were saying that, and it was one of those quiet moments too, where it was like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, hey, if we could just take a look at ourselves too, that maybe sometimes, and we don't even notice that we're the toxic person.
That's right.
And we got to keep that in check.
Yeah.
If we're telling people what they should and shouldn't do all the time.
None of us are perfect.
Exactly.
We have stuff.
Exactly.
But the key to good leadership, the key to good parenting, the key to being a healthy person, it's not that you don't have these things, it's you're self-aware of those. And then I'm reading through it, I was like, whoa, I actually do this. On the other, okay, all right, Lord, surrender that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I do that. And I'm self-aware now. I can work on that. I can think about it. I can surrender that to God.
I've noticed that later on in my life that I've had better relationships because I had better boundaries and I was more self-aware. Like I just was like, I know what my shortcomings are, and I don't need to dump that on anybody else. I need to work on those things. And the deepness of the relationships that I have today are something that I would have never had 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And so having good resources like these books or other places we can point you to is really a game changer with relationships in life. So check out the Boundaries book.
Safe People, and People Fuel by Townsend. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, last thing, you use bubbles inside of the sanctuary. We're gonna call another offering for new carpet. So thanks for just kidding. I need to be kidding.
I poured it was soap.
People.
Oh,
no! Oh my gosh! What's gonna happen to that carpet?
Soap.
It's soap. It was so much fun. Had somebody in the back, writing some notes and things like that, and they're like, "Joel, you came up with this, right? You're like the bubble guy." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And they were like, "Wait, then who did?" And I'm like, "Andy." And they were like almost like dumbfounded that they were like, "Wait, the pastor came up with like a fun thing?" Like it just wasn't computing whatsoever for that person. And I was like, yes, nothing to do, like, but you're like the fun guy and he's the pastor. Like it just did not get off that topic. Anyways, when you came up with the bubble idea, when was like the first time that was like in your mind and you're like, you know what, we're gonna use bubbles inside of a service. We're gonna, we're gonna bring some joy in here.
Yeah. No, I have to give John Orberg credit for that. He's used that illustration, and he's the guy. And actually, it was close to that conversation where relationships need to be easy.
Yeah.
And so he used that in a staff meeting, and I've always kept it. Yeah. So and he's such a great discipleship guy. He's just such a great thinker and a teacher. He makes the connections.
Amazing.
So you know how we're in youth ministry or do things, we just just to let everybody know, Joel and I are using stuff we did at camp 20 years ago.
What?
So yeah.
No,
there's
we
a
played
few-
Vacation by the Go-Go's? No, I totally
There's
did.
few things that
Absolutely.
we still have some tricks up our sleeves that we actually use
Exactly.
at youth camp.
Oh, it totally is. It's
And no joke, youth camp really, I still think, is the best training ground for adult ministry.
Couldn't
Because
agree more. You got it all. You got community, you got the highs and lows of humanity itself.
got to think on your feet.
You gotta just call audibles left and right.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
And you have to keep people's attention for 7 days. So,
Yeah.
you know what? Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally works.
So just always pulling of
Yeah.
ideas. But I think this weekend we're doing
Compasses.
compasses.
What?
That actually was
Easy.
your idea.
Oh.
The idea for this weekend is from Joel.
There we go.
Have
So-
you used that in youth camp at all?
I have actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus knows the way. You know, super easy VBS. You know, kind of deal. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be really great, and it's also for Father's Day too. So
That's right.
dads know the way. You know,
That's
kind
right.
of deal. So, all right. Well, this was an awesome session 2 this past Sunday, and we want you to join in on session 3, whether that's on site or online, this Sunday at 10 a.m. Doors are open and we're ready for you. Come on early. We have an awesome patio overlooking the ocean. We have some great chat rooms that are going on, no matter what, if you're on site or online. Just thankful that you're gathering here at Malibu Pacific Church. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or hand gestures, please send them in to me, joel@malibupacific.church, and we will answer those questions like we did today. So again, joel@malibupacific.church. Send in those questions. We love good questions. With that said, we will see you this Sunday, everybody, for Vacation Mode number 3, and also Nacho Average Dad Party, which is real fun. Father's Day is coming up. We're going to have some nacho fountains. We're going to have some axe throwing and some sentimental stuff. So it's going to be great. With that said, thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button to the podcast yet, hit subscribe and share it with a friend. If you know somebody who needs a little more joy in their life, send them that sermon. You can hop on YouTube, hop on our website, or send them the link to this podcast for them to just be a part of Malibu Pacific Church. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Take care.